So my name is Lisa Davis. I'm the Senior Director of Student Services here at Monash University. I've been in this role for almost 3 years now, but I've actually been at Monash University for nearly 19. Monash jumped on board very, very early with my eQuals, so that was back in mid-2017. We were probably one of the top 5 universities to jump on board. And the reason we did that is really because we saw that as a way for not only to uplift the student experience, but to provide students with a really contemporary, secure, streamlined service that actually enables them to actually receive their credentials in a really timely way, which is what students want, but also in a way that endorses those credentials so that we know that we're delivering them to students in a really secure and authentic manner. Monash University is very digitally enabled wherever we can, so for us this was a bit of a no-brainer in terms of being able to deliver something to our students in a digital fashion as opposed to the old we'll print it and mail it to you, which is what we were doing previously. So that would take staff nearly 600 hours every year, and that was literally printing, ensuring that they were in the right sequence, they were in the right order, ordering envelopes, mail, printing of labels, etc. Like, it was incredibly cumbersome. Like, by the time we have to do all of the printing and the stuffing of envelopes, which is probably incredibly boring for some people, we then have to rely on international and domestic postal services. So students were really having to wait a fair amount of time to actually get their credentials, whereas now students will either graduate or a conferral will take place, and within 24 hours their digital credentials are sitting in my eQuals for them. So it's incredibly timely from their perspective as well. I think it's kind of twofold. I mean, for a lot of students, it's for employment reasons, right? Like, they might be going for graduate employment or they might be going on for further education. They actually need these documents to be able to justify the fact that they did study at Monash University in a particular degree and they got a particular WAM. So for them, that's really, really critically important. Other reasons, I mean, they've worked really hard. I think it's a real testament to the fact that they've been able to finish. So for me, I would, as a student, I would hate to have to wait for that sort of piece of paper that has sort of driven me forward for the last 4 or 5 years. It's a real coup for some students to have just completed their studies. So while some students obviously do need it for practical reasons, being able to deliver it to students so that they can actually be really proud of what they've accomplished, I think is really important as well. We are now educating digital native students. There is no doubt about that. I said before, I've been at Monash for 19 years. The first year students that are joining us in 2024, they weren't even born when I started at Monash University. So for them, they have grown up in an era of the digital age. They expect to do their learning, their education, they expect to do their own personal life admin all on a device. So for them, for us to be able to say, oh, you can do all of your learning, and then you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, if you could just wait for the mail and we'll send it to you, that would be incredible. So for them, this is just part and parcel. It is what they would expect. I don't think that if we turned around and said to them, oh yeah, you can get all of your paperwork, but it'll be sent to you, in May of the following year, and it'll be at the mercy of Australia Post, so just bear with us. I actually just don't think that would fly with this day and age. So it's an expectation that they have, and it's certainly an expectation that Monash wants to be able to deliver on time and time again. So we issue the Testamur, we also issue their transcript, we issue their AHEGs, and any official student letters that are required for either government or employment, etc., are all issued through my eQuals. And every opportunity we have to issue more and more documents through that platform, we will. It's sort of the question we get asked, or we try and ask ourselves all the time, is that how can we ensure that we are maximising the use of my eQuals wherever we can, so that students have one place to go to get their official Monash documentation or their other institutions that they may have studied at previously. So we want it to really become that one-stop shop for them, so that they know that's where they go to pick up all of their official Monash issued documents. It's pretty difficult to really quantify the costs. I think, as I said to you before, it really is about, obviously, staff saving of hours. We almost spend, probably about a tenth of the time now in terms of staff hours. And that just means that they can do more important things that actually benefit the student. So it is the graduations team. I would love my graduations team to spend their time, helping students, which is the main thing, organising graduation ceremonies, etc., and not doing the admin that sits behind it. So for them, I think it really is about that time saving. Whilst it's kind of hard to definitively quantify, we do know that we're just sort of maximising the staff time that we've got to be able to do the things that are really important to them and then ultimately really important to the student. It is really about that learner journey. We want students to come in and use the example of Monash College. They are, a wholly owned entity of Monash University, and it is a feeder college into Monash. So they do offer a range of diploma and pathway programs, and some of those programs do end with a guaranteed entry with a particular academic score, a guaranteed entry into Monash University into particular pathway courses. So for us, it is really, really important that we did get Monash College on board from a My eQuals perspective. Not only because then once they do become Monash University students, be it through a pathway or perhaps later in life, they still know, they understand the platform, they've used it before, it's not foreign to them. So, and I think that extends out to a multitude of learners. Like, I would love to be able to see in the future where, you can go into My eQuals and students are, or we encourage them to be real lifelong learners. So for us, they may finish their high school degree, they might move into a diploma course, for example, and then it may be immediate that they move into a higher education degree pathway program, or they may do it later in life. But the fact that they're able to hold the credentials as they kind of earn them, I guess, is really important. So then we want our students to come back and study their master's program or an honours program or albeit a PhD. So we want to be able to capture their entire learning journey along the way. And it'll just make it really easy for them to be able to demonstrate to other higher education providers or employers that they have actually got the credentials that they say they have in one place. And I think that's the power of such an integral system like My eQuals.